And what they're trying to do, what Clem Haskins is trying to do, is get the ball out of McIntyre's hands. He runs the show.
And a pair for Rooney, who, like Jurkunas, the Lithuanian import, played his high school ball in Virginia. Jackson, watched by McIntyre.
Oh, see that turnover dribble, unbelievable.
Ball wouldn't drop for him. Charles Thomas rebounding, he's fouled. And it's Witt picking it up. Vincent Witt, number 22, gets his first personal for Clemson. Minnesota by 4 with 13:56 to go. An impressive start for the Golden Gophers. Both ends of the court. Charles Thomas, sophomore from Harlan, Kentucky, was Mr. Basketball, high school basketball in Kentucky. Escaped the clutches of Rick Pitino and company.
Last year, he was voted the most improved player.
14 points in the win over Temple that got him into this Sweet 16. Averaging nearly 7 points a game.
Well, that was his high for the season.
Yep.
And he got 14 the next game, too.
Big one.
Solid pressure up court, man to man. No trapping yet. They might trap after they come over half court.
17-11 Minnesota. Jackson watching McIntyre.
McIntyre won't kill his dribble. That means he stays alive.
Rooney bounce pass inside, tried to get it to Buckner, and he was fouled by Lewis. Quincy Lewis, number 20, off the bench for the Gophers, the sophomore from Little Rock.
Solid action down the box. A lot of physical banging. You know, Clemson isn't a big, strong team, but they're a very physical team. Lewis picked up that foul coming around the post position.
Another quick foul to Lewis. His second in a row. Both coaches going to the bench early here. Players coming in and out of the lineup. Code returns, and McIntyre gets a rest for Clemson.
There's 5 fouls on Clemson and 3 on Minnesota.
Buckner. Back to Code. Back out there.
Got to get a set play for Buckner. You got to get him going. Here it is. He's going up. He's going up. Don't worry about it.
Buckner bowls his way in. With the move on Charles Thomas, who fell down.
Well, that's what he likes, to play down low. He's only 6'4". He has great pivot moves and pivot skills.
4-point lead, and a foul off the ball in the paint.
Here's Buckner down low. Now watch how he sets. See him push off the inside hand, and he gets his rear end into the opponent. And once you play his rear end, you're in Tap City. Another look from down low here. Good no call by the refs.
6-team foul. Rooney's first personal. Action Jackson. Over to Lewis, Quincy Lewis. Jackson behind Carver's screen. Good pickup on him by Iturbe, but he pulls back, tries a 3 off the front iron. Rebounded by Vincent Witt. Code driving, throws it up. Just ran into a telephone pole. Back comes Jackson, a 2-on-1. Makes the basket and took quite a hit from Buckner. He'll go for 3 points.
It was close to a flagrant foul there, but he came out at an angle where Jackson could see him. That's why they didn't call it a flagrant foul.
17.
First on Buckner.
It's like a pincushion. He bounced off. Now watch Jackson penetrate on his own. Gets attacked from the back. Close to a flagrant. Ended up making the shot.
Trevor Winter. He looked like that post in that beer commercial. 11 points now for Bobby Jackson.
After made shots, they try to put pressure up court, looking to turn you over, get a run going. Once it's in this man's hands, no pressure's going to get it from him.
20-13. Gophers. 12:25 remaining first half. And Witt lost control of his pass. And it may have gone off a Minnesota player. A break for Clemson there. off an errant pass. It will be Clemson ball.
That was a tough call. I thought he lost the handle of the ball penetrating.
He did, but
laterally.
May have been tipped by a Gopher on the way out. McIntyre trying for three. Drop for him, and this time off the hands of Clemson. Minnesota ball. Quincy Lewis inbounds for Jackson. Jackson calls the play. McIntyre, Clemson picks it up, signals back to his club what's coming. That was a good little piece of strategy there for McIntyre. Jackson driving baseline.
Got by McIntyre, but McIntyre recovered, putting his hand in from the backside.
Eric Harris returns. Charles Thomas goes out for Minnesota. Number 33, Clem Haskins, when I asked him, I said, who's been the most surprising player? They're all balanced, they're all experienced. He said Harris. He's the guy. Improved the most from last year as a sophomore to this year as a junior. Eric Harris. Installed against Temple, a junior from New York.
I call him a twos, .2. P2s, they said. Means he can play 1 or 2.
This is Lewis, Quincy Lewis, pull up, and he's checked closely by Christie, who picks up the foul. First on Tony Christie, the sophomore from Hartford, Connecticut. McIntyre, Iturbe, Christie, Quitt, and Jamison, the lineup for Clemson. Merle Code apparently has a bruised hip. He's expected to come back into the lineup for the Clemson Tigers.
Quincy Lewis here can break out offensively.
Quincy Lewis sure can. Gets 8 points a game, shooting 49% from the field, and plays just about 18 minutes a game. So they expect points from him when he comes on. We have 11:51 to go. Minnesota 21, Clemson 13. You're looking at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, Texas. Minnesota leading 21-13, 11:51 to go in the half. And our tournament summary shows some interesting things. All the number 1 seeds are still in the tournament, but 2 of the number 2, South Carolina and Duke, are out. All the 3 seeds are gone, first time ever. And how about Chattanooga, the Mocs? The second number 14 seed to get to the Sweet 16.
Well, Coach Matt McCarthy, what a job he's done. They're truly the Cinderella club.
That is for sure. And, you know, I loved an interview with him today. It was in the paper. He asked him if he believed in luck. He said, oh, sure, I believe in luck. He said, so the reporter asked him about would he play the lottery, and he said, do I play the lottery? That's my retirement plan. I love a guy with that attitude about luck. McIntyre into the foul called underneath. That is John Thomas's first personal. Near the conclusion of every NCAA tournament game, we'll select a Chevy Most Valuable Player of the Game from each team. Today, Chevrolet has contributed almost $6.5 million to the scholarship funds of America's colleges and universities. Buckner goes to the line for Clemson. Buckner with 2 points, misses his first of 2 shots.
Buckner originally signed with Providence when Rick was up there. Coach, when he went down to South Carolina, he went down with the coach. Providence released him.
Jamison rebounds, so it's Clemson ball again. McIntyre inside to Weidman. Good pass for Buckner. Weidman feeding Buckner, 21-15.
Good angle pass, bounce pass into Buckner.
Clemson 5 of 13 from the field. Minnesota is 7 of 9 from the field. Near turnover there, but it's recovered by Harris. Eric Harris. Off pass for John Thomas, a little too high. Off his hands, Clemson ball.
Harris for the Gophers distributes the ball to the areas where the shooters can make the shots.
7th turnover by the Gophers. They lead by 6. Just under 11 minutes remaining first half. Weidman outside. Out for Buckner. Buckner around Jacobson, goes the distance. Won't drop for him, and he's fouled by John Thomas. That'll be 2 on Thomas.
An awful lot of work to get the shot. Now Jacobson's doing a good job on him. Then he spins, needs help. Help comes from the weak side. Too much aggressiveness. He'll take two.
Buckner, aggressive himself, going to the basket. The junior from Hopkinsville, Kentucky. 1995 ACC Rookie of the Year. And you can see he's been consistent through the season and through the first two games of the tournament, staying right at his average, 15-4. He's 0 for 3 from the line so far and 0 for 4.
The average is 33 minutes a game.
72% free throw shooter, but cold so far. Jackson.
Let me tell you something, Tim. Jackson is a superstar. From what I can see in the first 10 minutes of this ball game.
13 points for Bobby Jackson. What a touch he had on that ball. Short running jump shot. Christie. Buckner directing traffic. Down to the corner for McIntyre. Nowhere to go. Ran into big golden trees in there, but picks up a foul. Drawing it from Courtney James.
Here's the last basket by Jackson. Watch him accelerate around McIntyre and finish. Now here's McIntyre going down the other way. He gets kind of caught in the air, and they call it they call the foul the other way on it. I thought he might have walked.
James picked it up, his first. Winter comes back in. Thomas goes out. John Thomas. The big man, Trevor Winter, the 7-foot senior from Slayton, Minnesota, into the game. And Iturbe returns for Clemson. Jamison goes out. McIntyre all the way to Code. 2 men on him immediately.
It's a straight up man-to-man by Minnesota.
McIntyre driving, lost control. Bobby Jackson comes away with it. 3-on-1. Goes to James. No basket.
He walked
Travel.
again. That's the second time he walked. He came down too loosey-goosey that time. Watch this pass. Unbelievable by Jackson, Bobby Jackson. Here's the turnover. Going down court. They got the 2 guards busting out. James comes in late. Almost too loosey-goosey. They're booing here, but it was a good call.
8th turnover by the Gophers. McIntyre missing on the jumper. Jackson has another rebound. Jacobson spots up and hits for 3.
That should be a timeout. They got to call a timeout here. Take a 20.
8 points for Jacobson. A 26-15 lead for the top-seeded Golden Gophers of Minnesota. So far, the top seed's looking very much like a top seed. In San Jose, Stanford and Utah, Kentucky and St. Joseph's will be the second game out there. And those winners meet Saturday at 6 o'clock Eastern for a trip to the Final Four.
I thought, Tim, that Rick Pitino made a good decision in not playing Anderson. You know, he has a chance. That's a serious injury. To come back this quick is too much of a gamble. That fella someday will be on another level of basketball.
Even though Anderson had practiced a couple of days and apparently felt in top form, and as Rick said, I wouldn't let my son play in this circumstance. I'm not going to let Derek Anderson play. That is Buckner.
They've got to get on Buckner's shoulders. Buckner has to end up with about 20-some-odd points this particular game for them to win.
He's got 6 so far, 26-17, the lead for Minnesota. Jacobson pulls up for 3 again. Sam Jacobson, he hits those at 43%. He's got 11 points.
Buckner's not doing a decent job on him defensively. I would alternate another man on him. Buckner has to concentrate more on offense to keep the Tigers in this ball game.
Iturbe. And it's Courtney James with a little hack on Iturbe. That's the second personal on Courtney James, the sophomore from Indianapolis. 7th team foul. Iturbe will be 1-on-1 at the line for Clemson.
There's a man's man, Clem Haskin.
Harold Jamison returns. Clem Haskins, a Minnesota coach, has to be happy with his team's play so far. Iturbe picked up the first of the 1-and-1, 29-18. Iturbe at the line for Clemson. The Spaniard from the Basque Country, Vitoria, Spain, and he hits them both.
All 6'7" European ball players can shoot from outside. Always remember that. You don't have to scout them. If they're from Europe and they're 6'7", they can shoot from outside.
He's got great feet for a big man as well. 10-point lead for the Golden Gophers. Jacobson.
Oh, he's having a dream.
2-point shot that time makes it 31-19. 13 points for Jacobson, a junior from Cottage Grove, Minnesota. Code out for Iturbe. Iturbe can't get through James. McIntyre into the paint. His jumper won't drop. Rebounded by Winter.
Numbers aren't there unless you take it yourself. Jackson didn't take it himself.
Jackson for James. This is Harris.
It'd be tough to guard Jackson. They clear out, he'd blow around.
Here for James.
That's the high post to the low post. That's one of Trevor Winter's key moves. He's 7 feet, goes to the high post, and feeds down to James in the low position.
James, the sophomore, has 4, 33-19. The Gopher fans alive. Quit for Jamison, and he's fouled by Jacobson. First on Jacobson.
That was a good foul. It was an automatic basket. He had 2 fouls on him, or 1 on him. It would have been a bad, but for his first foul, it was a good one because it was automatic inside position. It was an automatic deuce. So now he has to go and make them from 15 feet out.
James, Jackson, and Jacobson all get a rest for the Gophers. Quincy Lewis comes into the game, joining Winter, as does Miles Tarver, number 42, the sophomore from Oakland, California.
That was a brick that the Big O put up there. You know, he was recruited for football. He was down between Clemson and Florida State. And this powerful guy ended up playing basketball.
Jamison started the first 19 games for Clemson, and then Weidman took over for a while, but he started both games here in the tournament. 7:06 to go. Minnesota on top. McGuire, we're back here in San Antonio. Our game summary looks like this in the 3-point category. The Gophers are batting 1,000, 3 of 3. Clemson 3 of 6. Jackson has 13 points, and Jacobson just joined him with 13 points for Minnesota, leading 33-20 here. And Al, what can Clemson do to stem the tide, get back in this?
2 things, I think. Number 1, I put a combination defense on Bobby Jackson. He's that good. And the other thing I would do, you've got to keep the ball in Buckner's and into McIntyre's hands, and they got to get hot. Now, McIntyre's only 1 for 5, but he's a better shooter than that.
McIntyre with only 3 points. He averages 13.3 a game. Has not been a factor so far. This is Tarver, watched by Iturbe.
See, the man-to-man here is not stopping them. Even if they're playing physical down low, they still get the ball down low. And Bobby here with the ball is just too quick.
And a good effort by McIntyre to knock the ball loose from Harris. Should be Gopher ball. Harris goes out. Jackson and Quincy Lewis will join Charles Thomas, 7-footer Winter, and Tarver. This is Bobby Jackson.
See, Jackson rather played a 2 position with Harris in there, but when Harris goes out, Jackson has to move to number 1 position. What he did then is just score on his own.
Only 3 players have taken shots for the Gophers so far in the game. James, Jacobson, and Jackson, the 3 J's.
Well, with a 15-point lead, no one else should shoot. Here's the solo. He's going all the way. Uh-oh, that might be, nope, didn't call the flagrant again.
Nearly went into the first row seats back there over the cheerleaders.
The Gophers are starting to break out. They're creating turnovers. There's a steal right there. Nice hands. See that quick move by this Bobby Jackson. He's just unbelievable. Oh, I thought, they didn't call any foul on that.
Yeah, they did. McIntyre.
Well, why isn't he shooting fouls then?
No, evidently
they didn't call.
No foul. No foul on McIntyre. Jackson. Tarver. Little hook misses. Rebound by Iturbe.
Tarver should have dropped that over to Winter.
Code bounce pass in for Looney, and nowhere for him to go, but he's pushed. Winter picks up the personal. First
down
on
low.
Winter.
There's no place to go. The whole middle is clogged up. Made a nice play by creating a foul situation. It was more a hip. It wasn't arms or legs. What's happening in college basketball, so many of the teams now are just holding their hands up high, but they're hipping you down low. The big guys.
Looney to the line. He's got 2 points from here already, make it 3. 35-21, 5:54 to go in the first half. The top-seeded Minnesota Golden Gophers have just absolutely been brilliant here so far against a tough defensive team in the Clemson Tigers. Looney hits another pair, makes it 35-22. Witt, Looney, Jamison, Buckner, and Merle Code, the lineup for Clemson. Charles Thomas, Bobby Jackson, Tarver, Winter, and Quincy Lewis.
There's only one of the starting 5 in there, and that happens to be Bobby Jackson.
Off the hands of Tarver. Nice recovery by Charles Thomas. His miss, knocked out of bounds by Tarver. Clemson ball. Talked about how hot Minnesota's been. They continue to shoot at 77%. Clemson only at 38. That won't get it done.
Well, a few of those were chippies off turnovers. It's a 1-2-2 zone you're looking at right now, but with Traver in the front, which gives a lot more defensive thing because of his size.
Witt, short jumper off the mark. Tarver rebounds.
Nice kick out, good push.
Outlet.
Should finalize. Nope.
Quincy Lewis missing on a perfect feed from Jackson. He was pushed by Jamison just enough to knock him off his mark.
Surprised he didn't finish up on that because he is instant offense, Quincy Lewis. Here's the kick out to Bobby Jackson. Bobby has good court vision. Should have finalized that one. Now he has to go to the foul line to make it.
2 shots.
He's got a point, Lewis. He'll shoot 2. Sophomore from Little Rock, Arkansas, averages 8 points a game off the bench.
That shot was a little flat. He has to get it a little bit higher. He says, hey, coach, I made it. Doesn't make any difference. That's higher.
3 points for him, 37-22.
Let's see what face they give this time coming down. It is a 1-2-2 zone. They want to stop Buckner. Clemson wants to get the ball to Buckner. Here it comes.
Code for 3. Off the back iron, long rebound. Jackson can't get it. It'll be Gopher ball anyway.
Good decision that time. Jackson was going to grab it, then he figures, what the devil, let it go out. It's our ball anyway. Now finally, there's the zone I was talking about. That's what I thought they should have been doing earlier. 2-3 zone. This way Jackson can't penetrate. You overplay Lewis on the outside.
Winters, jumper in and out. Rebounded by Rooney. Mohamed Rooney. Abidjan, the Ivory Coast. Ivoire. Code outside for the Tigers.
Code is the only one they got to cover in the perimeter. Pay attention to him. They can't give him a good look. If he gets a good look, he can bury it. Let's see.
Buckner back outside for Code.
Clock under 8. Good move by Buckner.
Buckner never got the shot off, but draws a foul from Lewis.
Good move. He came to the jump stop, went up and tried to get it off, was fouled. You can't do it against the zone. He made the first move against the zone, but you're going nowhere but into other traffic. He was fortunate to come out with a one-on-one. Here's another look. See the jump stop? He's getting a little bit frustrated, and Minnesota will do that to you.
Third personal on Lewis. He goes to the bench. Buckner is 0 for 4 from the free throw line. He'll get 2 shots here as he's in the super bonus. Buckner gets his first. 22, 37-24 with 3:50 to go in the first half. The number 1 seed's looking number 1.
Well, a couple of dominant performances in this early action. Minnesota leading Clemson 37-24. I want to take you out and show you a game we'll be showing you at halftime. Utah leading Stanford 35-21. Utah on the white jerseys, and it's been a little bit of the Keith Van Horn show, right, Clark Kellogg?
A little bit. The difference maker making a huge difference. 12 points, 9 rebounds, 2 blocks, a couple of dimes. That's why we call him a stat sheet stuffer supreme.
George Raveling and Mike Krzyzewski here as well. Mike, what do you make of this?
Well, I think that Utah's defense is like a clinic of team defense. One shot now. If Stanford doesn't make that first shot, they're not getting second shots, and the point guard play of Andre Miller has been a key.
George Brevin Knight, just 2 points, 3 assists on the night.
Well, I think number 1 offensively, Stanford's got to build a productive perimeter game that'll give them balance in their offense. Number 2, they might want to change and go to a box and 1, something to slow down Keith Van Horn temporarily.
Keith Van Horn and the Utes are on a mission, 35-21. We'll see this game at halftime. Let's send you back to San Antonio now to Tim Ryan and Al McGuire. 37-24, 3:31.
And they had some significant victories, did the Clemson Tigers, in that 12-game win streak, but lost 5 of the last 7 coming into the tournament. Jacobson hits from the line.
You know when a guy's real good, Tim, when Coach Clem Haskins, I was talking to him, he says, this guy, Sam Jacobson, he has to guard guys better. There's nothing else you can knock him with.
Right. Well, he just missed a free throw. He'll remind him of that after the game.
At halftime.
At halftime, right.
Solid man-to-man by Minnesota.
Christie in the paint, a little push on him from Jacobson. That's 2 on him. Well, coming up on Pennzoil at the half, Pat O'Brien will be joined by George Raveling, Clark Kellogg, and Duke coach Mike Krzyzewski. They'll get you updated on all the tournament news, scores and highlights, and a live look at action going on elsewhere. That's all coming up on Pennzoil at the half.
I'm surprised, Tim, that Clem Haskins isn't taking Jacobson out and won't pick up his third in this in the first half. There's 3:22 left.
Tony Christie missed his first, makes the second. 38-25. Clemson, this is only their 3rd Tiger team to make it to the Sweet 16. They felt that their defense would trouble Minnesota more than it has so far in this first half. That's 72% from the field, being an indication. Jacobson misses a 3. Jamison rebounds. McIntyre feeding Christie. Christie intended for Wooney.
Clemson just doesn't have the offensive power. They got to keep the ball in Greg Buckner's hands and also in McIntyre's hands.
Another Clemson turnover. And later here on CBS out west, St. Joe's in Kentucky. That should be an exciting ball game. And right here from San Antonio, UCLA and Iowa State.
Here's Harris now at the point guard. Now Jackson takes the number 2 position. There he is in the wing.
Harris works to the top of the circle, and Bobby Jackson missing. Winter had a clean shot, missed the layup. Rebounded by Clemson. McIntyre comes back.
Basket now be big for Clemson. Absolutely too much hands. Good call.
Charles Thomas, number 34. Another one of those guys will come off the bench and light it up for you. 1-and-1. Code will go to the line. Code with only 3 points here in the first half. 2:22 to go.
And he's truly their zone buster. He's the guy they want to have shoot from 3-point land.
They made 1, and that's it. That's all he's been able to do until that point. He's 81% from the free throw line. Makes them both.
Right now, if they get it down below double digits, they need 1 more basket. They need a big stop right here. The way you stop is keep the ball out of Bobby Jackson's hands. Playing without the ball.
Pass for Charles Thomas. Closely checked there by McIntyre. Good job by McIntyre. Mooney comes up with it for the Tigers.
Big decision here.
A lot of room for three. Off the iron, rebounded by Jackson.
That would have been a momentum basket.
Jackson behind to Thomas. Thomas now back for Jackson to the corner. And a push on Jackson, it appears, from Big Jamison. That's 2 on him. Harold Jamison, the sophomore from Vance, South Carolina.
Gophers are playing a 3-guard offense.
Tom Weidman comes in. Jamison goes out. Backcourt scoring has obviously been well in favor of Minnesota, led by Bobby Jackson. Been brilliant there. They're 0 of 7 from the field, however, finally cooling off after their great start. The Gophers having problems from the field. We mentioned Jackson in the backcourt. You can see he has 16 points, 4 well-anticipated rebounds.
Bobby Jackson might be the best guard, I would say the best guard that I've watched all season long. And I've only been watching him now for less than a half. He's outstanding.
That's an accolade considering the number of great guards in the country, coming from our coach Al McGuire, the likes of Brevin Knight and others. Poked away by Tarver.
He reached over rather than play the thigh, he played the rear end and reaching over, which created the foul. Now every foul is 2 shots, as Tim says. They're in the super bonus.
Tarver picks up his first personal. 1:24 to go in the half. Mooney makes the first. He's been solid from here.
Clem took out Sam Jacobson to save him in the foul situation, so it goes in at halftime and only 2.
Another pair for Mooney. 40-29. 11-point Minnesota lead. 1:20 to go. Gopher ball.
I look now at 2 for 1. That means that the Gophers get 2 possessions to 1 possession for Clemson. I work it down. 5 seconds.
5 seconds. 5-second violation against Jackson. Closely guarded by McIntyre.
He didn't put the ball down. If he put the ball down, it takes the 5 seconds off, Tim. And he had his dribble, he just didn't use it.
Yeah, right. No, he picked it up, no question. 9 turnovers now by the Gophers, and we're down to a minute. 40-29. Weidman inside for Rooney, and he is fouled by Winter. 2 on Winter.
Winter allows him too much position down low. Anyone that gets this much position, you're in trouble. Then, and then he dropped down. He dropped down from the high post defensive position.
Well, the native of the Ivory Coast has been perfect from the line. 6 of 6. 7 of 7. Mentioned earlier that Mohamed Woni played his high school ball in Virginia. Can't imagine the program in the Cote d'Ivoire is competitive enough to have him reach Big Ten level in American college basketball. 8 points for him.
Down to a 9-point spread here. It could have been a blowout in the first half. Good play by Clemson.
And a big turnover there. 44.6 left. 10 turnovers by the Gophers, have gone cold from the field and started to cough up the ball.
Buckner got his hand in there and created the TO.
New life for the Tigers, down 9. Weidman inside for Rooney, and Rooney hits. 8 points for him.
I got to go for 1 shot. They lost their momentum. They'll take it down.
Jacobson on the bench, as is John Thomas from Minnesota. Winter, Tarver, Charles Thomas all off the bench. Harris and Bobby Jackson, the starting guard pair. Down to 10 seconds we go.
Too soon to go. Wait a couple more seconds. Now start the movement.
Harris on the drive. Picks up the foul. Clemson on a 9-2 run has brought it back to 7 points here. Buckner picks up his second personal. Harris goes to the line for the Golden Gophers. Clem Haskins make sure Everybody knows what happens here in this final. 6.2. Not wanting Clemson to get another score before the half.
I don't think if Paris makes the last foul, I don't think they'll press this time. I think they just told me to get the clock started, let the ball be passed in front of them up court here.
Harris will get 2. He's got 1. His first point. Harris, who averages 11-7 a game, hasn't been a factor in the first half, and he misses the second. Code has it. Under 5 we go. Merle Code. Pull up. Off the mark at the buzzer. Basket will count.
They say good.
Mohamed Wooni got the follow. And it's a 6-point game at the half.
From out of nowhere came Clemson. They were down by 14. Now watch your clock and watch the call. Up goes a relatively easy shot. It catches the net. It catches the rim. Clemson got inside position.
Right at the buzzer.
Wow. Right
tipped up. Tipped up by Mohamed Wooni. And so we have a 6-point game. What looked like it might be a blowout. The top seeded Golden Gophers 41, Clemson 35. CBS Sports exclusive coverage of the NCAA Basketball Championship will continue after this message and a word from your local station. First half, Minnesota fell from a high of 77% down to 59%. Struggled in the last couple of minutes of the first half, and Clemson shooting at a low 38. Clemson, however, 14 of 18 from the free throw line. That got him back in, plus that tip in at the buzzer by Weidman. 42-35 now with the first free throw by John Thomas.
Didn't Clemson, Tim, win their last game only shooting 32% from the field?
Yes, they did. 32 against Tulsa. And in fact, 4 times this season, they shot under 40% and won the ball game.
Give credit to their D, and plus their physical type ball.
And timely free throw shooting. They shoot at 68% from the line, but they've been very effective when they've needed to be from the line. Weidman on a good feed from Iturbe.
Nice penetration by Iturbe that time, and Weidman was open. Too much aggressiveness by Weidman.
He picks up the personal. His first personal, Weidman, who got the shot at the buzzer. If you recall watching it at the time, Wooni, who was underneath there, came out with his fist clenched, and the impression that that he was the guy who got a hand on it, but it was Tom Weidman. Jacobson. Ball knocked away by Iturbe, and he's going to be called for another foul. That's 4.
Plus, there's 3 in this half already. We haven't played 2 minutes yet. We only played 1 minute, 20 seconds.
Iker Iturbe, the sophomore from Vitoria, Spain.
There's the reach in.
Well, that brings back Wooni into the game. Wooni, who had only 28 points the entire season, scored 10 in the first half, 6 of them from the free throw line, 6 of 6. So he's in for Iturbe. And another foul call. This one, a technical.
Technical must have been, I think, on the head coach or the bench over there. I'm not sure. It will be 2-shot foul and possession of the ball. Now, the way Clem is talking to some there must have been
Bobby
on the
Jackson.
bench.
Conversation with Bobby Jackson. And Jackson, apparently Jackson did pick up the technical.
He did. He said something. He got hit, and he said something to the official right after he got hit. But it was a quick tee. Now watch the right side of your screen here. He gets hit there. He says something, and then there's a technical. I thought maybe it was on the bench because I didn't have a good view for where I'm seated.
Still a discussion at the scorer's table, but it is being assessed against Jackson. No. Technical foul. 43-39.
Clemson's right back in this ball game. Sometimes they play ugly, but by playing ugly, they win.
Weidman trying to break through John Thomas. Now kicks it back. Code into the paint. His jumper in and out, and John Thomas up for it. Harris for Charles Thomas. Harris again. Foul away from the ball.
Yeah, this is the fastest 4 fouls on any team since I've been watching basketball. We haven't even reached the 2-minute mark yet in the second half.
And Wooney picks this one up.
They're all big, strong bodies. Both teams are playing aggressive, but 34 is just overdoing it.
Muhammad Wooney. Here's Jacobson for 3.
Boy, they need that triplet.
17 points for Sam Jacobson. 46-39. Christie inside. Traveling call against Wooney. Jacobson hoping to pick up a foul, none forthcoming. 9 turnovers now for Clemson in the game. The Tigers getting a real life from that buzzer beater by Weidman, bringing it to 6. They trailed by 15 in the first half against the top-seeded Minnesota Golden Gophers. It looked like we could be in for a rout. You just never know in college basketball. Clemson fighting back here.
Yeah, good break with Bobby Jackson picking up the technical, and he's sitting down now on the bench and will have to stay out a couple of minutes because Bobby Jackson, in my opinion, probably is the most valuable ball player in the Big Ten.
Big Ten Player of the Year and Defensive Player of the Year as well. 12 turnovers now by the Gophers. So the wheels coming off a little bit here for Minnesota.
Clemson makes you play this way. They just take your stars out of the ball game.
Jamison, hook shot short. Follow missed by Whitt. Battle for the loose ball along the baseline, and it will be Clemson ball. We've talked about how they can take stars out. In game 1 against Miami of Ohio, the brilliant Devin Davis held to 4 of 11 from the field, had 13 points, but turned it over 3 times. Shea Seals from Tulsa, look at that, 5 points, 4 turnovers. What a job they did.
But you know, Tim, Seals, I don't think anybody can take out of a game. He's that great of an athlete. But they did it, and to me, there had to be something wrong with Seals. It's impossible for Seals not to only get 5 points in the ball.
Well, he did get into foul problems, too.
Oh, he's in foul. That's right, early.
Yeah. So he was sitting for part of the time, but nonetheless, when he was on the floor, they did the job on him. There's Rick Barnes not happy with the last call. It's Clemson ball on that scramble along the baseline, but there's a lengthy discussion going on.
Clemson Tigers are out hustling.
They're waving a Minnesota player, it would appear. Or no, they're just telling both teams to go to their benches as they are having a discussion over there at the officials' bench across from us.
That's usually whether the shot clock should be taken back down. That's normally what it usually is.
Yeah, they've got 35 up, a new clock. Let's see what happened along the baseline. It was an extended scramble for the ball.
Clemson has definitely beaten them to the ball in the second half on every turn.
Well, that ball didn't hit the rim on that last shot. Now there's a battle along the baseline. The ball was awarded to Clemson.
Yeah, they're going to take the shot clock down, Tim. You're absolutely right.
And now they're taking it down. Okay, they've taken it down to 27 at the moment. Previous shot having missed the basket entirely. So they took 8 seconds off the shot clock and were ready to play ball with Clemson having possession. And Clemson will inbound. Now let's go to Michelle Tafoya.
Well, the discussion over here at the scores table was whether or not the shot clock should have been reset to 35. The ball on that possession never did hit the rim. The timer erroneously reset the shot, but obviously they adjusted, taking 8 seconds off. Guys?
Thanks, Michelle. Well, that's what we saw and reported. There was a long discussion before they sorted it out. We did have it 35. Jamison with a big jam. That brings the Clemson fans alive. 3 points for him. 46-41, back to 5. And a Minnesota turnover. Clemson ball again. 13 turnovers by the Gophers.
The 2-3 zone, the Gophers are in here, which allows the man on the baseline free, automatic dunk.
Code goes out. McIntyre comes back for Clemson. 5-point game, 16:22 to go. Gophers looking a little rattled here in the early going of the second half. Witt. Inside for Jamison. Can't get over James. Back for Witt. He misses. Big rebound for John Thomas.
Minnesota's not the same team when Jackson's not in there.
Jacobson missing the 3. And we have a timeout, 15:43 to go. Minnesota 46-41. Rafe LaFrance of Kansas, Reggie Freeman of Texas, all huge games. And you'll see them all in action in our Friday night action here in the regional semifinals. Gopher ball. Jackson back in the lineup, number 24. Jackson's pull-up jumper, good.
As I said earlier, Tim, without him, they're not the same ball club.
19 points for Bobby Jackson. 48-41.
1-3-1 zone by the Gophers.
Christie in the lineup, along with Witt now for Clemson. Christie, pass through, but off the hands of Jamison. 10 turnovers for Clemson. Jackson over to Jacobson. Jacobson short with the 3. Jacobson comes up with his own rebound and picks up, draws a foul, driving to the basket. Looks like he accidentally stepped on Vincent Witt making his drive. That's the second personal on Tony Christie.
Jacobson releases fast and chases his own ball down. Witt couldn't control it. Then as he penetrates to the ball here, to the basket here, they call the foul for putting his hand out and catching his ankle.
We're in the Sweet 16 here in San Antonio. It's a 15 foul against Clemson. Minnesota ball, they have the lead by 7.
We just beat the 5 clock that time.
John Thomas off the back iron. Rebound and a travel call. And he came down, Muni.
He tried to call a timeout on the way down, but he didn't catch it in time. Excellent rebound. Watch him climb upstairs for the rebound here off the missed shot. Then he loses his balance, and there's the walk.
Gopher ball again. 11 turnovers for Clemson.
Big stop right here for the Tiger Paws if they can do it.
Christie goes out. Gopher comes in for Clemson.
That was what you call overpassing. Harris had an open lane for layup. His teammate was looking for him to put the ball up. He was going in for the rebound.
Harris picks up the personal, reaching in. McIntyre and Code, the backcourt now. For the Clemson Tigers. Down by 7, 14:40 to go, second half.
Overplaying Buckner. 1-3-1 zone.
McIntyre could feed inside.
Thomas committed too soon to the air.
John Thomas has 3 now.
Watch, he commits too soon to the air. He's up, he can't control himself, he comes down. 2 shots.
Woney at the line, he's perfect here tonight.
Once you get in that groove, it seems like you can't miss.
6 of 6 in the first half.
He's not even touching the rim. Everything's net. Let's see if we can hear it this time. Let's see if we can hear net. The ball going through. Yep.
That's 10 of 10. Now we will correct the stat on Rooney, who had 8 in the first half. From the line, 8 of 8.
Clemson won't go away.
48-43, back to 5 again. James, Harris, John Thomas underneath. Double team there. Bad pass, picked off. 15 turnovers, Weidman grabbed it for the Tigers.
Big basket right here for Clemson. They can score here. Clemson's going to have to go to a timeout or readjust because momentum has definitely swung to South Carolina.
You mean the state of South Carolina?
Obviously, I mean the state of South Carolina.
South Carolina, the university, long gone. Weidman rebounding. Rooney. Traveling again. That's 2 called against him. In the last minute, made a good move on the basket, but shuffled on the way. 12 turnovers by Clemson. Still a 5-point game. Gopher ball.
Harris got to get the ball in the Jackson's hands. Let Jackson do his thing.
Jacobson back for Harris. Lob pass in for John Thomas. A little too high.
Clock's at 11. Shot clock.
Off the hands of Clemson. Minnesota ball with 11 seconds on the shot clock. Quincy Lewis and Trevor Winter both coming in for Minnesota on this dead ball. Jacobson will leave, and John Thomas joins him at the bench. 13-14 to go. Minnesota has now only hit 2 of their last 13 from the field after shooting 77% in the first 15 minutes of the first half. Third personal on Rooney.
Reached in that time on Winters.
6th team foul. Rooney came in when Turby got into foul problems, so Clemson now pushing it a bit. Jackson off the back iron, trying to get his own rebound. Code goes up high to grab it. Earl Code, senior guard, really wants this win, extend this tournament, his final season. Rooney, bad pass, right to Quincy Lewis of Minnesota. 13 turnovers for Clemson.
Winters said not to shoot unless you can touch the rim.
Won't go for James. Rebounded by Weidman.
Seems that Minnesota's waiting for Clemson to make a move.
Still a 5-point game. They give another chance here. Greg Buckner.
Buckner wants to go down low in the pivot position. Nice move. A good runner that time.
3-point game. Winter outside.
They completely lay off him.
Sure do. Jackson, they don't lay off him. Up over Code, off the mark.
Over and back and hit the top of the backboard.
11:39 to go, second half. We have a 3-point game from a 15-point lead, lost by Minnesota.
Coverage of the NCAA Basketball Championship is sponsored by Intel and by Philips Magnavox Web TV.
Tim Ryan, Al McGuire at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, Texas, where things have tightened up to say the very least. A 3-point game. Minnesota led this by 35-20. They had shot out 13 of their first 15 from the field. They're now 15 of 31 for the game. going 2 of 16. 2 of their last 16 shots from the field have been good.
What happens in basketball, and especially college basketball, sometimes during the game the rim is like a rain barrel, everything goes in. And other times during the game it's like a teacup and nothing goes in. So Clemson definitely got the momentum. If they can score here, Minnesota's in for a long night.
Gophers have losses only to Alabama, Illinois, Wisconsin in the final game of the regular season. Code missing the 3. Winter rebounding.
Code has been cold all game. He puts his shot up right. He's not tightening up. They're just not dropping.
Harris, Winter, Lewis, James, and Bobby Jackson, the lineup for the Gophers. Turbe grabs a loose ball. 16 turnovers by Minnesota. That's been hurting him. And McIntyre. 48-47, a 1-point game.
McIntyre's starting on a run now. He's the little guy. He's made 2 baskets in the second half. He only had 3 points in the first half.
Seven points for McIntyre, bringing it to a 1-point game. James is fouled on his way up by Christie. That's 3 on Tony Christie. Minnesota leading by just a point after losing a 15-point lead of 35-20 back in the first half. Clemson hasn't led since the score was 6-5 very early. The Clemson bench now been doing a real good job. 17 points from the Clemson bench, only 5 from the Golden Gophers bench.
Well, Rick Bond has handled his bench excellently and shotgunning the fouls around and get everybody playing in the first half, so they're relatively fresh for the second half here. James is not an outstanding foul shooter.
This is the first of 2. And the second, rebounded by Clemson. Grabbed by Vincent Witt. Number 22, the freshman from Greensboro, North Carolina. He has the ball.
James only shoots 50% of his fouls.
Bounce pass from Jamison, knocked out by Minnesota. Tarver comes in. Courtney James goes out for the Golden Gophers. And our game summary shows that the game has been sloppy. 13 by Clemson in the turnover department, 16 by the Golden Gophers, and that has been a big reason why they've gone downhill here. Clemson from the free throw line, hot. Minnesota, good.
Well, Rick Bonds, with his material, he makes it kind of an ugly game. He wants to play a lot of defense and put up a lot of shots because they don't shoot that good a percentage from the field.
McIntyre missing and Jackson with the rebound. Jackson's pull-up jumper won't go for him. Gophers continue to struggle. Weidman taking the rebound, and the foul is on Jackson. That's his 3rd.
Jackson is 3rd.
Off the rebound here. Watch Jackson reach in from the left side here. See him reach in there? Good call. That's his 3rd.
John Thomas and Quincy Lewis also have 3 for the Golden Gophers. And Turbe with 4. Rooney and Christie with 3 each for Clemson.
I'll keep the ball in McIntyre's hands now. This little guy out there starting to score. Nice kick.
Good feed inside.
If they're going to win, it's going to be those 2 guys that do it.
Greg Buckner, the junior from Hopkinsville, Kentucky. 10 points for him, below his average of 15-4. Bobby Jackson, ball bounced out to Jacobson.
That's the 5 count. He just got away with it.
His pull-up jumper is good. Sam Jacobson.
Unbelievable shooter. Every time he drops his head, if you're playing defense on him, if he drops his head, he's going to put it up.
19 points for him. Saw Clem Haskins' wife and daughter watching with a little bit of concern, and there's a 3 from McIntyre. Clemson in front.
I told you, Tim, McIntyre's on a roll.
52-50, that's 10 points for him. Tigers lead with 8:45 to go. No basket, and Witt will pick up the personal. That's 3 on him.
It's a 1-and-1 with 8:40 left. He has to make the first to get the second. in this situation, because the only way that Minnesota can lose this game is for Buckner and McIntyre. They can beat you. I'd go to a triangle too now. I put man-to-man on those two guys and play a triangle, because I don't think the other guys, you have to kind of favor Code. But outside of that, the other fellas can't beat you offensively.
Rick Barnes takes Weidman and Whit out. 20 points now for Bobby Jackson, leading all the scorers. Jackson nails them both. Buckner, McIntyre, Jamison, Rooney, and Code. Line up for Clemson. McIntyre behind the screen. Harris went flying. McIntyre for three is off the back of the rim and rebounded by Jacobson. He stepped on the line, evidently. Going to be Clemson ball.
Well, they set picks. Clemson set picks that just knock you out. And they're not that big and strong of a team. You know, they're not really all muscle. It's just that they play so hard and tough. They're mentally tough ball club.
That's their style. It's been effective. 23-9 coming into this Sweet 16 matchup against the top seeds in the Midwest, the Golden Gophers. They're tied at 52.
Greg Buckner does not want the ball out here. He wants to go down low in the post. He should give it to McIntyre now, then go down low.
That was Clemson foul. Rooney, that's 4 on him.
They caught Harris coming around that pick, but their blocks are really NFL blocks. I don't know how to put it gently.
9th team foul by Clemson. Tight end getting a linebacker here.
Watching the top of the key. Harris comes around, and here goes the block. He's down for the count.
And the 1-and-1.
Harris will go to the line with a 1-and-1. Tied at 52.
This game should be decided on the foul line for the Gophers if they can make their shots.
Rooney goes to the bench with 4. Iturbe back in for Clemson.
Next foul is the super bonus. That means they get 2 shots for every foul. I still think they bring it in too soon. It should be around 15 fouls before the super bonus.
Harris with a pair and a 2-point Minnesota lead.
Slight pressure up court.
The tenacious Tigers making this much more of a game than anyone might have expected. The number 4 seeds in the Midwest against the top-seeded Minnesota Golden Gophers, bringing in a fancy record of 29-3. Buckner.
Nice.
Oh, Iturbe. Chance to make it a 3-point play.
Greg Buckner gave an excellent feed.
4 on Jackson.
Watch the feed here to Iturbe. Iturbe comes around, kind of takes a half a step, and goes to the foul line to see if he can get the lead for the Tigers.
4th personal on Bobby Jackson, including that technical. 7:43 still to go. He has to come out. Charles Thomas comes in. Iturbe can't make it a 3-point play. John Thomas rebounds. We're tied at 54.
Clem Haskins has a major decision here. They can't keep Bobby Jackson out too long.
Eric Harris. Well, there's a guy stepping up to the plate. 5 points for him, but what a critical pair. The junior from New York. 56-54.
Straight up man-to-man.
Harris had 12 against Temple. That's a huge point for him, and Harris is down and not getting up. Time is called. Harris took a shot. Looks like his shoulder or his neck. It's hard to see exactly what he's holding there.
His right shoulder. I was watching Code. I think that Code might get hot for Clemson to win at the end of this game, but let's catch the replay on this.
Meanwhile, John Thomas picked up his 4th.
Yeah, there's what we call a back pick. Years ago, that was illegal, but today it's still kind of illegal, but they don't call it. A back pick is where you come up behind the defensive man. He doesn't know you're coming up. If you show that once more, please, Steve.
Well, we don't know exactly what his injury is here, but he has not yet gotten up, and on that replay it didn't look like it was a real hard contact,
but he
somewhere
doesn't
that hurt
expect to see it from the back. See, that's what you call a back pick, and then he reached for his shoulder, so let's hope he's not seriously hurt.
Now sitting up, Eric Harris Jr. just made a critical basket to put Minnesota back on top.
You've got a critical decision here. If you take him out, you got to come back with Bobby Jackson, even with 7 minutes left, because otherwise their other guard is really a zone buster. Right? His name just won't come to me right now. And but these two guys played a point guard. Now, when you lose two guys at one position in any sport, that's when the problem comes with injury. You can always afford to lose one guy at one position, but not two guys at the same position.
Well, and Charles Thomas already on the floor, their best guard off the bench, and with Jackson on the bench and Harris going out, they'll have to go a little deeper, perhaps to Russ Archambault, a freshman who played a little bit for them. But they're hurting right now for sure. And he is going off. Eric Harris favoring that shoulder. Must have been where he landed on the floor. Didn't appear to be from the contact of the pick.
He had to come back with 4 fouls on Jackson. He pretty much had his hands tied there. I would put Jackson now, bury him inside a zone defensively, rather than have him pick up his 5th foul foolishly on man-to-man. If I was Clemson, whoever Jackson's covering, I'd go keep the ball in his area constantly. Because if Jackson's out of there, Clemson can have a good shot at winning this ball game.
Buckner, a 72% shooter from the free throw line, makes the first. Winner comes back in. John Thomas goes out for Minnesota. Buckner makes them both. We have a tie game, and we'll be back at the Alamo Dome in a moment.
A tradition unlike any.
And they take Brevin Knight to give the foul. Let's see.
Mosley is into the game, and Knight will go off.
This is a catch given. You've got to lengthen this game, even though it's only 1.
And Utah has been shaky down the stretch. The Utes have made 1 of their last 5 free throws. And they had a shaky turnover a moment ago and a pass by Miller that went through the hands of Jackson. Miller inbound to Doliak. Madsen called for a foul. Either Madsen or Weems, who converged on Doliak.
Mike Montgomery's guys have reacted beautifully defensively. They made it tough on Rick and his people. Not really another point mentality out there with Miller on the floor. Hanson more of an off guard, and they relied on their big people to screen and step back to the ball in Doliak.
4 fouls on Madsen. Doliak 75% from the season from the line. And perfect tonight. He'll shoot 2 with his team leading by 1. 25 seconds remaining.
Courage. Step up key times. Miller should do a good job trying to deny Brevin Knight the basketball.
10 points for Doliak all the second half. Now 3 to tie for Stanford. Knight lost the dribble. Loose ball, Stanford ball. Last touched on the floor by the Utes, Drew Hansen.
What a play by Andre Miller. He faked at the basketball. Oh, was that terrific. Everything but the pill. Need a pinch now on the dribble penetration.
Knight. Tough shot with Miller guarding. Van Horn dropped it out of bounds. And a timeout called by Mike Montgomery with 10 seconds left now. They really need to take a 3. Back in a moment.
All right, so with that timeout, we'll send you back to San Antonio, where it's a 3-point game there. We'll get you back to the finish of the game out west. Meantime, enjoy Minnesota-Clemson, 61-58.
Vincent Witt at the free throw line for Clemson. Freshman missing. And a one-on-one opportunity. Rebound Jackson. Jackson so calm, so poised throughout the course of this game. When they're up 15, when they were down a couple. Jacobson for 3 again. Won't drop this time. Knocked out of bounds.
It looked like it was off Charles Thomas.
It did. And it was. Now it will be Clemson ball.
The people that just joined us throughout the nation, you got to remember that Bobby Jackson has 4 personal fouls on him. And he's obviously, in my opinion, a superstar.
As does John Thomas, their starting center.
Made a good move here. They took Jackson off McIntyre and put him on Code. That's a good move. I get the ball over to Code.
Charles Thomas covering McIntyre now.
I drive Code now. I drive. Try to pick up that 5th on him. I drive him.
Not on your wavelength, Kenneth. There's the shot in and out. McIntyre missing, and the rebound taken by Jackson. Jackson's had a good day rebounding as well. He's got 6. And a miscue there, and a save by Jackson. He made the error on a bad pass and came back to save it.
What a close turnover that was.
61 to 58.
They can score here. It's a 2-possession ball game.
Jacobson.
He wants to shoot.
Never got the shot off. Foul called away from the ball. Jamison picks up his 3rd. Buckner, pardon me. Buckner picks up his 3rd.
All right, the timeout is ending back west. Pat O'Brien in New York going to send you back to San Jose. Sean McDonough and Bill Raftery at courtside. And now you are for the finish of Utah-Stanford.
Utah has not trailed in this game. They are clinging to a 3-point lead. With 10.2 seconds left, it'll be Stanford ball.
And Sean, as you pointed out on the commercial, they got to get the 3. By the time you get started, it'll be 8 seconds. They run Weems along the baseline for a 3. They run a pick and roll with Brevin Knight staying behind the screener in the 3. They love to go to the box and diagonally out for a 3.
Weems and Knight are their 2 best 3-point shooters. Stanford is 2 out of 11 in the game. Knight, a very tough shot. And that's a 3 from the corner. Last chance for Utah. Knight got a hand on the ball. Johnson the steal for the win at the buzzer. No. Van Horn dropped it in after the buzzer sounded. And the Utes and Cardinal will go to overtime on an unbelievable 3 out of the corner by Knight.
As big as the 3 was, he's the one that got the steal to disrupt the push-up at the other end. Now, this is a little guy who's developed an upper body, and this upper body enabled him to make this shot, Sean. I would say 2 years ago, he couldn't do this. He doesn't have his legs totally, but the extra with the upper body, one to be remembered in Stanford history. But how about him? He's the one that got a piece of the ball and ends up with a steep one, and you can see, we didn't hear the horn, which signifies the end of the game with the Lightning.
And you can file that under the category wow. We'll keep you up to date on the overtime. Let's send you back to San Antonio. Minnesota leads by 5. Back to Tim Ryan and Al McGuire.
Greg Buckner at the line for Clemson. 3:46 to play. Minnesota by 5. Buckner, the team leader for Clemson. 13 points. Has another one. Approaching his average of 15.4. Takes 2. 65 to 62. 3:46 to go. Minnesota on top. Here at the Alamo Dome in San Antonio, there's the team foul situation. Minnesota shooting 2 when they go to the line. Clemson 1 and 1, and each with their 2 20s and 2 full timeouts remaining. There is some foul trouble for both teams. 3:46 left in the game. Iturbe and Rooney. Iturbe one of the starters, and 3 starters for Minnesota. John Thomas, Jackson, and Jacobson all with 4.
The only one that can't afford to lose Minnesota would be Jackson. Has the ball right now in his hands.
Watched by McIntyre. They come up to trap him. He blows by Code. Takes it inside and misplayed by Charles Thomas.
Normally Jackson would have taken it all the way. He was afraid that time of a charging foul, which would put him on the pine. It would be his 5th.
There is no pine over there. It's only plastic. Keith Van Horn just fouled out for Utah. They're in overtime. Brevin Knight of Stanford sent them into overtime, and Van Horn, the Utah Stars, fouled out. So the seed there, Utah in some trouble. James trying to pull the ball in. He does, and then over the top.
You know, not a bad person to foul. If I was going to foul someone intentionally on Minnesota, I would foul Courtney James. He only hits 50% of his foul shots.
Weidman picks up the personal, and
James gets the rebound here. He gives a couple of fakes. He recovers the ball, gets the handle on, gives a couple of fakes, but an overplay there, and obviously he didn't want to allow a three-point play, Weidman, so he wouldn't let him go up. Good play, both sides. You fouled the right guy. Weidman didn't give a possibility of a three-point play.
Courtney James, three-point lead for Minnesota, and he hits.
Ooh, he hit a big, important foul shot that time for a 50% shooter.
5 points for Courtney James.
Going into this game, he hit 56 out of 112 fouls.
That one doesn't go. Weidman rebounds.
Shows his averages right, 50%.
Weidman, Buckner, Iturbe, Code, and McIntyre, the Clemson lineup. Code driving into the paint. Jackson backed off him to prevent that fifth foul. The ball loose, grabbed by Iturbe.
Good hustle by.
The Spaniard off to Code.
Code, I would penetrate on him.
McIntyre. The back rim, battle for the rebound. Jackson comes down with it. He's fouled by Iturbe. That'll be 5 on him.
Foolish foul by Iturbe that time. He kind of lost his balance.
And now his substitute, Looney, has 4. He has to come in.
Nice replay here. Bobby Jackson makes a nice move to the ball here. Gets possession on it. Iturbe tried to turn it back over again.
Iturbe leaves with 7 points and 2 rebounds. He gets 6 points a game, so he reached that level. 66-62 with 2:50 to go. Jackson will be at the line.
All right, here we go. 2 times.
24, Bobby Jackson from Minnesota. 2 shots.
2 shots coming to Jackson. Super bonus situation. He makes the first. Jackson is 77%er from the line.
If he makes this, I figure they go back to a tight zone and overplay the perimeter, man-to-man on the perimeter out of the zone, what you call a matchup tight zone. No, they're staying man-to-man. Code gonna break out. Has the ball now. He has to make a breakout.
Weidman. Weidman nails it. Big basket for Weidman. Brings it to 4 again. 6 points for him.
20-second timeout. All Minnesota kept saying, no foul, no foul. They'll exchange deuces and not lose. So they figure each time down, as Minnesota makes their foul shots, they could end up winning this ball game from the charity stripe.
Tom Weidman, he got the buzzer beater at the half that we thought was after the buzzer. Next up here in San Antonio, Iowa State, the 6th seed, the number 2 seed, UCLA. And the winners will meet Saturday afternoon at 3:40 Eastern. See who gets to Indianapolis.
In our second game, UCLA, obviously those great athletes want to up-tempo the ball game, but Iowa State wants many touches and be a little bit more physical.
Still may run today.
Not dissimilar in style to Clemson, and Clemson giving Minnesota more than they can handle. 2:34 to go. Jackson, Charles Thomas, Weidman prevented that shot. No calls.
Figure they work a little clock.
Jackson brings it outside. Shot clock at 23. They're tied in overtime. Utah game, and it's still tied.
Greg, too much hands. Buckner.
Buckner's 4th.
Buckner's trying to create a turnover here. Just a little bit too much hands right there. Puts a good foul shooter on the line. If Minnesota can make their fouls down the stretch here.
Jacobson, 27 points. He and Bobby Jackson have just been outstanding and have come alive here late in the second half when they've needed them to in the scoring department after a drought in the early part of this second half. Now a 6-point game again. 70-64. 2:05 to go.
Clem Haskins just doesn't want any three-point play.
McIntyre for Weidman. Weidman hits another big basket for him. 8 points for Weidman. 70-66.
Got it over with 2 seconds to spare. They're going to take it down too low. I think it's too soon to go all the way down. Under 10 seconds, college kids cannot manage the clock properly. They end up putting up a Hail Mary shot normally.
Well, but Jackson's a little different. Let's see what he does. He passes to Jacobson. And Jacobson off the front iron. That was at least a hail, if not a Hail Mary.
Numbers are right here. Get it over to. No, he didn't pass it over. Kept it himself.
Buckner brings it to 2. 1:11 to go. 16 for him.
I think you got to look to score, Jack. You cannot. You want to get a foul, but you can't take it all the way down. You got to look to score here.
Jackson checked with Haskins, his coach on the sideline as he crossed the timeline. 15 on the shot clock.
Pull the big guys out and let Jackson go one-on-one. He'll probably pick up the foul.
Code checks the shot clock. It's down to 7. Jackson starts his drive. Now goes out to Charles. Thomas won't go. Battle for the rebound. Gopher ball.
And a fresh clock. Now if they can milk it down now, they got to call. They got to foul now.
Clemson calls timeout. 33.3 left on the game clock.
20-second timeout.
2-point lead for Minnesota. What a battle. They led this game 35-20 in the first half.
They got to do right now, Tim, is they got to try to foul off the ball. I personally would try to foul Courtney James because of his poor foul shooting. So even if he hits his percentage, it gives them a 3-point lead. You can come down and make a 3-pointer and put it into OT. You got to keep the ball out of Jackson's hands.
Clemson has used all of their 20s. They've still got 2 full timeouts remaining. 33.3 seconds.
Move Lewis in for ball handling and good shooting.
Quincy Lewis, number 20. Eric Harris on the sideline with a separated shoulder. Will not return. Questionable.
You got to foul him now. You can't let him keep dribbling it out. You got to foul him.
And they do. Code and McIntyre down to 20 seconds.
They did it right. They tried to make a turnover. Once it gets down under 24 seconds, then you got to foul and hope he misses the foul shots.
77% from the line.
He needs one foul shot here to make it a 1 possession. 2 foul shots. It puts Clemson in a pretty tough position. They wasted too many seconds here. They wasted about 5.5, 6 seconds not fouling.
He is 10 of 11 from the line, make it 11 of 12.
Boy, that's one cool customer. That's Mr. Clutch. This is a big one, but not as big as that first one.
26 points for Jackson. 27
call
points.
a timeout. He's going to call a timeout. Good timeout by Clem Hutchins. Clem Hutchins is playing Clemson. Clem Haskins.
You're excited. 20 seconds left. 4-point game.
I get it. You know, it's the coaching
You're coaching
blood.
2 teams. I mean, it's pretty difficult.
The coaching blood gets back in you.
It's tough enough to coach one. You're coaching them both there. 20 seconds remain. A 4-point game. And once again, a look at our game reset. The team fouls. Clemson has picked up 15. Minnesota not in the super bonus yet. 1 20-second timeout remaining for the Gophers.
The arrow could be important. Favors Clemson.
Tip in Weidman.
Beautiful tap in by Weidman. A good inside position.
He has had 3 huge baskets tonight, including the buzzer beater at the half that brought him to 5. It's a 2-point game again. Seconds left in the second half. Minnesota leads by 2. Another big basket by Tom Weidman, who's 5 of 5 from the field.
Tom Weidman shows why he's academic All-American for the ACC. He gets inside position. Nice touch.
And he's the guy that had the buzzer beater, questionable or not, it counted at the end of the first half as we see it again. And that brought it to 5 points after a 15-point Minnesota lead. And he has scored 3 critical baskets here in the second half.
They must foul immediately. No ticks on the clock. There's only 8.2 left. You got to foul immediately.
Clemson with only 1 full timeout left, no 20s.
We didn't even get a tick on the clock.
That call came from way back at the midcourt, and it's Whitt picking up his 4th personal. Lewis will be shooting for Minnesota.
He's a 62% foul shooter. He's not sweating, so he's going to be hurting a little bit there. He hasn't been in the game long enough to get a sweat. Here's the foul up court there. There's too much hands on Lewis. Good call by the ref. A good play by Clemson because no ticks off the clock at all. Now, the reason I said that he might miss here, being a 62% shooter, he has no sweat in his body. He was put into the game as another guard out there to get more ball handling in and also to take out a weaker foul shooter who happens to be Courtney James.
We've got a timeout with still 8.2 and still a 2-point game, Minnesota. Minnesota, the top seed here in the Midwest, leading by just 2 over Clemson. 72-70, 8.2 remaining. Minnesota beat Clemson in the San Juan shootout back on December 1st. Clemson would love to knock out the top seeds. Clemson just took their last full timeout. They're out of timeouts. Minnesota with a 20 and 2 fulls remaining. 8.2 on the clock.
Very, very difficult foul shot this time here for Quincy Lewis, because he came off the bench for ball handling the last couple of minutes. And this is what we call a gut check.
Sophomore from Little Rock, Arkansas.
Yep.
This is the first.
Now this is the big one, because this is the one that, because most likely Clemson will take a 3-point shot coming down because of the clock if he misses. So he makes this, the worst they can do is go to OT if he makes it. Missed it. Oh, wow.
Near turnover, but Buckner keeps it alive. 4-on-2 break. Oh, at the buzzer. Overtime. Tony Christie, the sophomore from Hartford, Connecticut, off the bench, forces overtime.
His moment on the stage.
First and only shot of the game. He had some minutes earlier, did not get a shot. What a big one to make. Keeping the Clemson Tigers, the number 4 seed.
All right, drama indeed here on a Thursday night in the tournament. Let's go to San Jose and show you the finish of that one. Utah is at the line. They lead by 3. There's 9 seconds left as you look at Michael Doliak. Let's go courtside to Sean McDonough and Bill Raftery.
They had put Jackson in Stanford to give it away. They just couldn't get coordinated.
Michael Doliak, one of only 2 remaining starters in the game for Utah. And he has made all the clutch free throws down the stretch. Utes by 5. Mosley. Utah has gotten over the hump. In their 3rd try under Rick Majerus, the Utes advance to the Elite 8.
The last time Utah was in the Elite 8, nobody had even heard of the song, Do You Know the Way to San Jose? Well, they do now. There's an overtime in San Antonio, meantime, 72-72. Let's go courtside for that. How great is this?
So here we are, about to begin overtime in San Antonio at the Alamo Dome. Minnesota gold and Gophers in gold. Clemson in white with their orange trim. We're tied at 72.
Congratulations to you. Rick Majerus used to be on my staff. They won in overtime against Stanford. Congratulations, Rick.
Code, McIntyre, Buckner, Weidman, and Mooney, the lineup for Clemson.
First possession is so important in OT. If you score in the first possession, it gives you a big edge.
Buckner, the leader, the junior, hits the three.
Big edge.
There's the edge. Bobby Jackson, Sam Jacobson, Thomas, James, and Charles Thomas. 4 starters. Eric Harris on the bench with a separated shoulder.
Jackson has to start playing like he stopped worrying about the 4 fouls.
Charles Thomas trying to get up. He's fouled. Charles Thomas will be at the line for Minnesota. 3rd personal on Terrell McIntyre. Clemson leads by 3 on the 3-pointer from their team leader, Greg Buckner, the junior from Hopkinsville, Kentucky. Charles Thomas at the line for Minnesota.
Charles Thomas is big time from the foul line, 79%.
Well, let's go back just a few minutes here. You'll see the break on that missed free throw.
This is going into overtime. 5 seconds left. They broke away from the foul shot. Made both of them.
Charles Thomas made them both. Now what happened there was Buckner broke down the court after the miss by Quincy Lewis. And it was Tony Christie at the buzzer forcing overtime for Clemson.
He's due. I knew he was due. He couldn't make a shot all game. Every shot he put up was perfect.
Merle Code, who shoots those at 36%. 10 points in the game for Code, the senior.
Perfect form by Code.
4-point lead Tigers. 3:45 to go in the first overtime. Jacobson forced that 3-pointer. Rebounded by Weidman.
Weidman's playing the game of his life underneath. He's a big space heater under there, but he's bringing down the rebounds.
This is McIntyre driving.
McIntyre got away with a walk that time.
Jacobson hot from 3 earlier, now 4 of 10 for Minnesota from 3-point range. Buckner, who just hit the 3, starts to drive, his pull up for 2.
Buckner will carry the team on his shoulders. Greg Buckner.
6-point lead. We talked about the leadership of Bobby Jackson and Greg Buckner. It's Buckner's turn to shine right now. Jackson with the ball. 2:50. Remaining first overtime. John Thomas, Courtney James pulls his way in and hits. Courtney James.
He's been missing those shots during regulation.
7 points for him. He averages 8-3 a game. 4-point lead Clemson. The 4 seeds from the ACC, an at-large entry. Ranked number 14 in the country. McIntyre driving, gets it back again. Misses from short range, and Jackson rebounds.
Jackson will blow by you if you move out of the post there. James is taking too much post position.
Jackson for Jacobson. Lots of room to shoot. Won't go for him. Suddenly cold to Sam Jacobson. Rebound Weidman.
Jacobs shoots better when someone's in his face.
He was wide open and all alone. 4-point game Clemson. Minnesota 29-3, the top seeds in the Midwest, ranked number 3 in the country.
They're making a little mistake here, I think, and I'm not second-guessing anybody. It's a little too soon to go for the clock.
Go ahead and second-guess it.
No, I don't like the second-guess. No, I make my statement before they do what they do. A little bit too soon.
3-point try from Code off the mark. Rebound Thomas, John Thomas.
Jackson got to penetrate. Take him. He's going all the way.
Jackson off the glass. What a shot. 29 points for Bobby Jackson. He scored every possible way. 2-point game again. Clemson 80-78. 1:10 to go in the first overtime.
Buckner, go down low in the post. That's where you're excellent at.
Coachemel, McIntyre. There's Buckner working the outside on the perimeter. McIntyre, he drives. Never got the shot off. Grabbed by Minnesota. Jackson comes out.
Jackson, even the numbers aren't right. He's going all the way.
Nobody near him. Tied at 80.
A little too soon. A little too soon.
31 for Bobby Jackson. Tied at 80. Under a minute.
Minnesota got to get the ball back, so no matter what happens, they're going to get a shot.
McIntyre, watched by Charles Thomas. Weidman. His pass intended inside for Buckner. Off the foot.
They want to get the ball in the Buckner, but that time he was guarded. Very fortunate it went off the foot.
Clemson ball, 28.6 to go, first overtime. Clem Haskins signals timeout.
18 seconds on the shot clock, so you got a spread of about 10 seconds. Plenty of time.
Bobby Jackson, he looks like the game just started. His facial expression never changes. He's so poised, so relaxed.
Plus he's playing with 4 fouls, but now he knows it's now or never, so he's not pussyfooting around. When he came in originally off the 4 fouls late in the second half, he was pussyfooting around.
Tied at 80. Now the 20s are gone for both teams. Minnesota still with their fulls. Clemson with 1. Jackson has gone 12.5 minutes now with 4 fouls on him.
Minnesota comes out man-to-man, not covering the man throwing the ball in.
18 seconds on the shot clock.
Now Jacobson comes up and covers Buckner.
Into the corner, McIntyre's pass stolen. Not a good feed from McIntyre. Alert Minnesota play. Tied at 80, 13 seconds counting down.
Coach Clem says go easy, do it yourself.
Jackson.
Wait another 2 seconds. Now do your thing, Jackson. Do your thing, baby.
Code all over him. Pulls up the jumper. Won't go.
We're in the second overtime.
Into the second overtime. We're tied at 80 at the Alamo Dome. Minnesota and Clemson. We'll be right back. Time tied at 80. Let's take a look at the shot by Clemson's Tony Christie that forced the first overtime at the buzzer. Christie, his first shot of the game, and he makes the driving layup.
And here's the end of the overtime. Bobby Jackson takes it down to about 2 seconds on the clock. Put it up. Just caught the back rim.
So here we go into the second overtime, and still to come from the West. St. Joe's in Kentucky. From here, Iowa State and UCLA.
Iowa State and UCLA were twice out here getting ready to come out. Twice they had to go back to the locker room.
Jackson, winner in the ball game now for Minnesota. Charles Thomas, Courtney James, and Quincy Lewis. Winner. Jumper in and out. James on the rebound. James wants to go up, off the glass. No drop for him. Rebound by Lewis, good. Foul on Minnesota.
Code caught a foul
Code,
in there,
right.
I think.
So the basket counts. Foul on Code. 2-point lead, Minnesota.
Minnesota showing their space heaters down low. Then Lewis makes his last recovery, goes in, can get 3.
Another look at it. Weidman and Code go out for Clemson. Weidman comes in, pardon me, and Jamison goes out.
That's the 3rd straight foul that Lewis missed in pressure situations.
So McIntyre, Buckner, Wooney, Christie back in, and Weidman line up for Clemson, down 2. Buckner driving, no basket.
No basket. For the shot. Foul Minnesota number 20.
Foul is on Lewis. That's 4 on him. Quincy Lewis picks up his 4th.
Buckner knows if they're going to win, it has to be him to win. He takes a nice first step, was fouled before the shot. Will go to the line. Are they in the super bonus?
Yes, they are, yeah.
So he goes to the line for 2 foul shots.
Buckner shoots 2. 72% from the line. Greg Buckner, the team leader, this Clemson Tiger team. 4:17 to go in the second overtime. And Buckner missing that one, trying to gather himself again here. Every shot critical.
He won't tire. He's averaging 33 minutes a game, so he's used to playing a lot of basketball.
Makes the second. 1-point game, 22 points for Greg Buckner. 7 points above his season average. Coming up big in the big game. Charles Thomas. Jackson. This is Winter.
They don't want Winder to shoot. I was surprised he took the shot from outside before.
Bobby Jackson, they want him to shoot.
That's a three.
85 to 81, 34 points for Bobby Jackson.
If Bobby Jackson isn't an All-American, I don't know basketball.
All Big Ten, all defensive Big Ten. Lewis with a nice step in to grab that pass. Quincy Lewis. Lewis, who missed the free throw that gave Christie the chance at the basket that sent it into the first overtime for Clemson. Makes a big play there.
It's too early to be cute. They got to play their game, Minnesota. I mean by being cute, not to be working the clock this early.
3:20 to go, second overtime. It's batted away from Lewis. He lets it go out of bounds. It goes off the hands of Clemson. Lewis played that smartly, protecting it. McIntyre was going to go back and try and steal it there. 3:13 to go. Christie goes out for Clemson. Jacobson comes in for Lewis for Minnesota. Code, McIntyre, Weidman, Rooney, and Buckner the lineup for Clemson.
Need to stop here, Tigers. Big time stop.
Jacobson missed it entirely. An air ball from Jacobson, who's really gone sour after being hot shooting the threes in the first half.
Well,
3:06 to go, second OT.
You live by the sword, you die by the sword. You know, he's good from out there, and that's his game. He had to let it go.
He's at 4 of 12 now from downtown, and just gone cold. Buckner, watched by Jacobson. McIntyre. Screen from Weidman.
Free.
Code in the corner. Over Charles Thomas. James rebounding. Charles Thomas just bothered him enough. With a hand in his face. Jackson, 2:26 to go.
College kids can't turn it on and turn it off. Once you go to the relay game or a clock game like this, you lose your momentum. When it's mathematically in your favor, fine, but you're in a two-possession game here. You need another basket.
Under 10, down to 7. Jacobson down to 4. Jackson well short, an air ball. Grabbed by Charles Thomas, and a foul call. Consultation by the officials. They don't want to blow one here. Ball went out of bounds.
They said the ball goes to Minnesota. They're wondering now whether the shot clock went off before the play was made. Of course, that last shot did not catch iron.
Right, exactly right. Possession arrow belongs to Clemson at this point. Let's take a look at it here. Watch the shot clock.
Here's the shot. He forced it. He only had 4 seconds. He had to put up. He didn't. It's an air ball.
Right. And Thompson had a piece of it. Then it was knocked out of bounds by Clemson. Out of his hands.
Now they'll call both coaches together. When you have a situation like this, they'll explain it to both coaches. You don't just talk to one coach. So the 3 referees are now speaking to Rick and to Clem.
Well, upcoming, while they sort this out, right from here, it'll be Iowa State, UCLA, and from out west, St. Joe's and Kentucky. Still ahead. Lots of exciting tournament action. Should have been a new 35 clock. The ball didn't hit anything. An air ball. We had that similar play at the other end back late in regulation.
I personally think it's a good call. I think the horn went off before the foul was committed going out of bounds.
Yeah, it didn't touch the rim. There's no argument about that. It's the way we called it at the time. A total air ball. You'll see that Charles Thomas, 34, gets a hand on it. McIntyre knocked it out of bounds, but evidently went off the hands of Thomas. And it is Clemson ball. 4-point game, Minnesota. 1:54 to go. This is Buckner. Code in the paint. And he traveled.
They get too many head and shoulder fakes. We call it mambo fakes. By giving the head and shoulder fakes, he pulled his foot.
19 turnovers.
Clemson has to be more aggressive defensively here. Even double team on Jackson to create the clock.
Charles Thomas. McIntyre sticking to him like glue, forces him back to the perimeter. Jackson, 13 seconds on the shot clock. Good pickup there by Weidman. He read that pass, got a hand on it.
They won't get a new clock. They'll stay at 8. Coach Clem is telling everybody 8 seconds, 8 seconds.
1:20 on the game clock.
Nice double screen for Jackson.
Charles Thomas. Thomas forcing a shot from iron only. Good rebound by James. He gets it back outside.
Now they'll spread out. Now they go to what you call a beat pattern, a delay pattern. They'll spread out wide.
Down to a minute. Second overtime. 4-point Minnesota lead.
You almost got a trap out there. You can't let them take 34 seconds off again. Because you're looking at a 2-possession game, a 4-point spread.
Down to 10, down to 7. Jackson's pull-up jumper. Oh man, can that guy
wow. Lift up the world, Jackson. Lift up the world.
36 points in a 6-point game. McIntyre.
Need a basket here, big.
Buckner for 3. Won't go for him. Picked up by Jacobson.
That's the first time Jacobson didn't shoot the whole game.
That's right. And Buckner fouled him. And that's 5 on Greg Buckner. What a night for that team leader.
I got to give him a hand. He played
especially the second half. I mean, he was brilliant in the second half. He leaves with 5 fouls. The junior from Hopkinsville, Kentucky, did everything he could do. 22 points, 2 rebounds. (87-81), 23.2. Sam Jacobson at the line. He has 28 points. Donovan Jackson has been the scoring star despite struggling with his threes in the second half.
Jacobson shoots about 61%.
He needs to be farther back with somebody, standing on top of him.
Tim, it's a big one here because it makes it 3 possessions. You come down, hit 2 threes, you still need another possession.
And he gets it.
Now it's a 7-point spread.
The junior from Cottage Grove, Minnesota.
Looks like Tap City.
29 points for him. 3-point try by McIntyre missed. Weidman battles for the rebound. 88-81. Code in and out on his 3. Jackson rebounding and stepped on the line. Clemson has the ball with 8.2 left. And Minnesota is going to be glad to get to the locker room. What a battle from the Tigers of Clemson.
Coach Clem Haskins never lost his composure. Even when they slipped down, he kept it calm on his bench.
McIntyre, what a fighter. A 3 for him. Terrell McIntyre closes to 4 with 4.2 left. 17 points for Terrell McIntyre. We'll be back in a moment. The scrappy Clemson team forcing overtime. Tony Christie shot at the buzzer. Second overtime. Here we are with 4.2 left.
Get the ball into Thomas or Jackson's hands, one or the other.
Jacobson to Charles Thomas, and McIntyre nails him immediately.
Got 1 second off the clock.
That's 4 on McIntyre. Charles Thomas will go to the line.
Tim, you got to give them credit. They really played hard. They're a credit to the ACC, and Rick Barnes did a magnificent job. He's taken, to me, not great material and made it a great team.
No doubt. Barnes, a Naismith candidate, Coach of the Year award, one of 15 coaches in that category. He's done an outstanding job. Started 20 games at George Mason, at Providence, and here at Clemson. His 3rd year at Clemson, a record of 56-33. Charles Thompson at the line for Minnesota. 89-84. 5 points for him. Clemson took a 12-point win streak, beat Kentucky early in the season. McIntyre at the buzzer, and Minnesota has prevailed. It was not easy. It was not pretty. But 90-84 in double overtime. They finally defeat the number 4 seeds, Clemson. Eric Harris had to sit out much of the second half after his shoulder injury. May not be back. We'll find that out But without him, a starting guard, they have prevailed, and they await now the winner of Iowa State and UCLA. That'll be next year from San Antonio. And the winner between those two on Saturday heads to the Final Four. Greg Buckner, 21 points, 7 of 9 from the field. Chevrolet Player of the Game for Clemson. Bobby Jackson, 36 points, a career high, 9 rebounds, 12 of 13 from the free throw line, 11 of 20 from the field. A brilliant, brilliant night for the very calm and cool Bobby Jackson. Minnesota moves on to the Elite Eight, 90-84 over Clemson. And Pat O'Brien will be coming back from New York after this message and a word from your local station.